Welcome, future biologists. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey into the microscopic world to understand protozoan diseases. We'll uncover how these tiny, single-celled organisms, called protozoa, can cause significant illnesses in humans. From basic definitions to advanced control strategies, we'll explore this topic across four levels of depth: easy, medium, hard, and hardest. Get ready to expand your knowledge and discover the hidden world of disease-causing microbes. Let's start with the basics. What exactly are protozoa, and how do these tiny creatures cause problems for us? Protozoa are amazing single-celled organisms, so small you need a microscope to see them. Think of them as tiny animal-like cells, each capable of living independently. They are eukaryotes, just like our cells, meaning they have a true nucleus. Many protozoa can move around, using whip-like tails called flagella, hair-like structures called cilia, or even by oozing along with false feet called pseudopods. They live everywhere in water, soil, and even inside other living things. While some are harmless, others are parasites, meaning they live off a host, like us, and can cause diseases by multiplying, damaging our cells, and stealing nutrients. Two very common protozoan diseases are amoebiasis and malaria. Amoebiasis is caused by Entamoeba histolytica and usually spreads when people consume food or water contaminated with infected feces. It can lead to stomach pain and diarrhea. Malaria, on the other hand, is caused by Plasmodium species and is transmitted through the bite of an infected female Anopheles mosquito. It's famous for causing recurring fevers, chills, and sweats. But don't worry, many protozoan diseases can be prevented. Simple steps like drinking clean water, washing your hands thoroughly, and using mosquito nets can make a huge difference. Now, let's test your understanding with a few questions. First, what are protozoa, and how do they generally cause diseases? Second, can you name two common protozoan diseases and their causative agents? And finally, suggest two simple ways to prevent protozoan infections. Take a moment to think about your answers. Ready to dive a bit deeper? Let's explore the diversity of protozoa and understand the specifics of some major diseases and their prevention. Protozoa are an incredibly diverse group, classified by how they move. We have sarcodines like Entamoeba which use pseudopods, flagellates like Giardia using flagella, ciliates like Balantidium with cilia, and sporozoans like Plasmodium which are non-motile in their adult stage and often have complex life cycles. Pathogenic protozoa are essentially parasites, meaning they depend on a host to survive and reproduce. They cause disease by multiplying within the host, damaging cells, and consuming vital nutrients. Understanding their diverse nature and how they are transmitted is the first step towards controlling them. Let's take a closer look at malaria and amoebiasis. Malaria, caused by Plasmodium species, is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito. The parasite has a fascinating life cycle. It first multiplies in the human liver, then invades red blood cells, causing them to burst, which leads to the characteristic cyclical fevers and chills. Amoebiasis, caused by Entamoeba histolytica spreads through contaminated food and water. When its cysts are ingested, they release active forms called trophozoites in the intestines. These can invade the intestinal wall, causing severe diarrhea, abdominal pain, and in serious cases, even liver abscesses. Effective prevention and control of protozoan diseases rely on several key strategies. For vector-borne diseases like malaria, controlling mosquitoes is paramount. This means using insecticide-treated bed nets, repellents, and eliminating breeding sites like stagnant water. For waterborne diseases like amoebiasis, ensuring access to safe drinking water and proper sanitation facilities is crucial. Personal hygiene, such as regular and thorough hand washing, cannot be stressed enough. Also, practicing food safety by cooking food properly and protecting it from contamination is vital. Finally, early diagnosis and treatment with appropriate medications are essential to prevent severe illness and reduce disease spread. Time for some medium-level questions. First, how do the transmission methods of malaria and amoebiasis differ? Second, describe the critical role of the Anopheles mosquito in the Plasmodium life cycle. Third, list 3 key symptoms for both malaria and amoebiasis. Fourth, explain how good personal hygiene helps prevent protozoan diseases. And finally, what are sporozoans, and can you give an example of a disease they cause? Think carefully about your answers. Now, let's challenge ourselves further. We'll analyze protozoan life cycles, public health implications, and the complexities of diagnosis and treatment. Protozoa are incredibly diverse, and their classification often reflects their movement and life strategies. Sarcodines, like Entmoeba histolytica move with pseudopods and are notorious for invading intestinal tissue. Flagellates, such as Giardia lamblia and Trypanosoma use flagella and cause diseases like giardiasis and sleeping sickness, respectively. Sporozoans, including Plasmodium are unique because they lack specialized movement in their adult stage and are highly specialized parasites with complex life cycles. These tiny invaders cause damage through various mechanisms, directly destroying cells, releasing enzymes that break down tissues, or competing with our bodies for essential nutrients. Understanding these mechanisms is key to combating their effects. Let's delve into the intricate life cycles of Plasmodium and Entmoeba star. The Plasmodium life cycle is a complex ballet between humans and mosquitoes. In humans, the parasite undergoes asexual reproduction, first in the liver, then in red blood cells, causing the characteristic malaria symptoms. In the mosquito, the parasite undergoes sexual reproduction. For Entmoeba histolytica infectious cysts are ingested, transforming into active trophozoites in the intestines. These trophozoites invade the intestinal lining, leading to dysentery, and then form new cysts, which are excreted, perpetuating the cycle. The widespread prevalence of these diseases in tropical and subtropical regions highlights their significant public health burden, impacting millions globally. Diagnosing protozoan diseases typically involves microscopic examination of blood or stool samples to identify the parasites. Rapid diagnostic tests, or RDTs, provide quick results for diseases like malaria by detecting parasite antigens. Treatment relies on specific antiprotozoal drugs, such as artemisinin-based combination therapies for malaria or metronidazole for amoebiasis. However, we face significant challenges. Drug resistance is a growing concern, as parasites evolve to withstand medications. Vector resistance to insecticides also hampers control efforts. The complex life cycles and antigenic variation of protozoa make vaccine development incredibly difficult. Furthermore, socioeconomic factors like poverty and inadequate sanitation continue to fuel disease transmission, making control a multifaceted global challenge. It's time for the hard-level questions. First, classify Giardia lamblia and Plasmodium vivax based on their locomotion and mention the diseases they cause. Second, trace the complete life cycle of Plasmodium in both human and mosquito hosts, highlighting the stages where symptoms manifest. Third, explain the difference between vector-borne and waterborne protozoan diseases with specific examples. Fourth, discuss the challenges faced in developing effective vaccines for protozoan diseases. Fifth, describe the public health significance of protozoan diseases in tropical and subtropical regions. Sixth, how do protozoa like Entmoeba histolytica cause damage to host tissues? And finally, what are rapid diagnostic tests, and how do they aid in controlling protozoan diseases? Prepare for the ultimate challenge. We'll now explore the molecular intricacies, advanced diagnostics, and global strategies at the forefront of combating protozoan diseases. At the molecular level, pathogenic protozoa are master invaders and evaders. They use specific surface proteins, known as adhesins, to attach to host cells. For instance, Entamoeba uses a gull-Galnac lectin to bind to our gut lining. Once attached, they secrete enzymes like proteases and phospholipases to break down host tissues, facilitating invasion and nutrient absorption. Their ability to evade our immune system is particularly sophisticated. Trypanosoma for example, constantly changes its surface glycoproteins through antigenic variation, making it a moving target for our antibodies. Plasmodium hides inside liver and red blood cells, protected from immune surveillance. Understanding these intricate host-parasite interactions is crucial for developing new drugs and effective vaccines. Advanced diagnostics are revolutionizing our ability to detect protozoan diseases. PCR-based tests, for example, can identify even tiny amounts of parasite DNA or RNA, offering unparalleled sensitivity and specificity, which is vital for early detection and tracking drug resistance. Immunological assays like ELISA and immunochromatographic tests provide rapid, point-of-care diagnostics by detecting parasite antigens or host antibodies. However, drug resistance remains a formidable challenge. Protozoa develop resistance through mechanisms like efflux pumps, which pump drugs out of their cells, or by modifying drug targets. Scientists are constantly searching for novel drug targets and employing high-throughput screening and rational drug design to develop new therapies. Vaccine development is also incredibly difficult due to the parasites' complex life cycles and their ability to evade the immune system. Integrated vector management, or IVM, is a holistic, multi-pronged approach to controlling disease vectors. This includes environmental management, like draining stagnant water to eliminate mosquito breeding sites, and chemical control, such as using insecticide-treated bed nets and targeted spraying. Biological control methods, like introducing fish that eat mosquito larvae, are also employed. Emerging genetic control techniques, such as the sterile insect technique, aim to reduce vector populations by releasing sterile males. Beyond vectors, public health engineering plays a crucial role in prevention. This involves ensuring access to clean, treated water, building robust sewage and waste management systems, and designing housing that minimizes vector entry. Geographic information systems and remote sensing are also used to map disease incidence and vector habitats, allowing for highly targeted and efficient interventions. Globally, protozoan diseases represent a significant health and economic burden. International organizations like the WHO and the Global Fund are leading initiatives to eliminate these diseases through comprehensive programs. The One Health approach is gaining prominence, recognizing that human, animal, and environmental health are intrinsically linked. This is especially important for zoonotic protozoan diseases like toxoplasmosis, which can spread from animals to humans. Climate change poses a growing threat, as rising temperatures and altered weather patterns can expand the geographical range of vectors and accelerate parasite development, leading to outbreaks in new areas. The persistent challenge of antimicrobial resistance demands continuous research and development of new drugs and treatment strategies. Addressing these complex issues requires a concerted, multidisciplinary effort encompassing scientific innovation, public health policy, and global collaboration. Now for the first set of hardest level questions, from 1 to 5. First, elaborate on two distinct molecular mechanisms by which pathogenic protozoa evade the host immune system, citing specific examples. Second, compare and contrast the principles and applications of PCR-based diagnostics versus traditional microscopic examination for protozoan diseases. Third, discuss the primary challenges in developing an effective vaccine against a protozoan parasite like Plasmodium considering its life cycle and host interactions. Fourth, explain how antigenic variation contributes to the persistence of diseases like African trypanosomiasis. And fifth, describe the concept of integrated vector management and provide examples of how environmental engineering plays a role in it. Here are the remaining hardest level questions from 6 to 10. Sixth, analyze the impact of climate change on the epidemiology and geographical distribution of vector-borne protozoan diseases. Seventh, what are the key mechanisms of drug resistance observed in protozoan parasites, and how are these being addressed in drug development? Eighth, discuss the One Health approach in the context of zoonotic protozoan diseases, giving an example. Ninth, how do *Entomoeba histolytica * trophozoites invade and cause damage to the intestinal wall at a cellular level? And 10th, evaluate the socioeconomic factors that contribute to the high prevalence of protozoan diseases in developing countries and suggest policy interventions. That concludes our deep dive into protozoan diseases. We've journeyed from basic definitions to complex molecular mechanisms and explored the global efforts to combat these microscopic invaders. The world of biology is vast and full of wonders, and understanding diseases is crucial for a healthier future. For more such insightful content, advanced learning tools, and practice questions, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates and to continue your learning journey. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. Thank you for joining us today.